also talking for
Yeah, yeah.
They couldn't get their heads around that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
Thanks, Daryl.
much nicer lead in.
I've just gone live. So do you want to say hello? What's your channel name? Bitcoin?
Kill the Beast by Bitcoin.
I love that name. I mean, I'm not the biggest, I have to, for what it's worth, if I can say this, I think that Bitcoin, the Rothschilds or whoever owns the banking system, they knew this was coming, and if they hadn't created it, I'd be extremely surprised. You know what I mean? So I would say that they controlled everything of importance. How could something so valuable as a decentralized blockchain currency that no one can track and trace be allowed just to exist? In the same way as this flat earth movement, for example, is absolutely being watched by the Tavistock, they're absolutely keeping an eye on how this is growing. And in fact, they probably want to grow at a certain pace. The same with Bitcoin. The same with Napster, who brought out the music sharing files, right? He would have been like a seeded guy who they gave certain access to. We allowed this thing to happen. And then we say, oh, well, the industry's jumped on the back of it. It was about changing people's minds and using like a Trojan horse like Napster, because the music industry doesn't care if for 2 years people get free downloads. They got the money back 10 times over since then, because you've not only bought it as an LP, you bought it as a cassette, you bought it as a CD, and now you bought it as a digital download, man. They've made so much money off you.
The thing is with Bitcoin, I know the governments will bring out their own digital currencies.
Yeah.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
But I started in Bitcoin in 2013.
Wow.
I bought my first Bitcoin for £94.
You're my friend now. We've just established that. We are friends, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So, oh wow, £94. That's a good price to get in, huh? Yeah.
So it's about 500.
Bloody hell, mate.
And then I thought, what am I going to do with these Bitcoins?
Yeah.
So, just trolling around and look what was going on. And you'll give you 2% per day on Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
So put little bit on,
Yeah.
2% per day.
Yeah.
Put a bit more in.
Yeah.
2% today, 2% per day. In the end, it gets what's happening here.
Yeah.
I've got 5 Bitcoin in there. I watched him one day. This account doesn't exist.
No.
Totally stressed.
Oh, wow.
But I've recovered from that.
Yeah.
I did a lot of Bitcoin mining in cloud mining. You rent it.
Oh, okay.
Two Bitcoin mines in Iceland. Anyway, I'm there in December 2016. And during all this, throughout last year, I paid, put in about $9,000 US.
Yeah.
And over that, up until January this year,
Yeah.
and it was as high as nearly $20,000.
Wow.
That year, I placed $40,000.
Wow.
$40,000.
Yeah.
So even if it goes pop tomorrow.
Yeah. Good for you. I know, good for you, and I can't say anything bad about that. But I think that any sort of pyramid scheme or whatever that has some people getting super rich very quickly is always going to mean that somebody else is going to have to suffer somewhere down the line, And I think that I can't imagine that anything particularly good is intended by all this. However, fair play to a guy who gets in and makes a little coin for himself and so on, and good luck to you. Hey Barry, how are you, brother?
If I'd have kept the 5 Bitcoin, I'd been sitting on 30k now.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm here with Amir. Hi, Amir. And do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Can you just a little louder, because my volume's very shit. That's why I'm trying to get close.
I'm a student at the London Film Academy, and I'm here I'm interested in making a documentary about you guys.
Okay.
All the work you do.
Awesome.
And just a little bit more of the social aspect of it.
Okay.
Just because I kind of want to show you guys as people.
Regular, yeah. Trying to find our way in this crazy, exciting, interesting world.
Yeah, I think it's crazy how passionate you guys are.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone's just going through the motions and you're not listening.
Yeah. I like that. Thank you very much. I mean, it's nice to meet a respectful and intelligent person who's got an open mind. Well, yeah. Yeah, my channel's Trinity4, and a friend of mine called Robin, he's got a channel called Lifting the Lid, and he just did a video where he took a 10-minute segment of something I did in Oxford a few days ago, and it was just like a monologue that I delivered, and actually got an applause at the end for it, which is a first for us in the Flat Earth.
That takes because I know that especially like in Oxford, I'm sure.
Yeah, they didn't want it. Yeah. But as Daryl was saying a minute ago about how what he likes about my work is that I'm talking more than just about Flat Earth. I'm talking about things other than, because actually once you realize, as I said to you earlier on, that you're actually playing on a flat chessboard or a flat board, then you need to take all the chess pieces off and start again, you know, and that means that helping people to review the medical industry, review the banking industry, review the way that government and control works, the systems and education. Yeah, because people know that things aren't right. People know that they've had family members die of cancers, and people know that they've had family members die of cancers and shit like that. Yeah.
I've got cancer survivor stories on my channel.
Wow.
Geopolitical.
Yeah.
Flat Earth very recently, but it's on there. But yeah, people need to wake up. Really. They need to see what the total corruption from the top down. From the top down.
Yeah.
All the Western governments.
Love it. Well, as I started saying that it's all a franchise system. All the governments are in one franchise.
Absolutely.
They might have to play on like a chessboard, a black team and a white team. They might have to play like that, but they're all playing on the same board by the same controlling hand.
What woke my eyes up to the banking industry, I don't know if you've read the book, Creatures from Jekyll Island, G.Edward Griffin.
I haven't read it, but Creature from Jekyll Island is a fantastic book, I'm told.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, enlightening.
I lent it to my financial advisor, and he blew his head off.
Right.
Yeah.
So it talks about, or you can tell folks how it goes because you've read it.
Well, they met on Jekyll Island in 1910.
This is like the Morgans, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPont family, all these big money families back then.
They had this meeting and then they decided what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Form their own private bank.
Yep.
But they were going to call it Federal Reserve.
Correct.
So it took 3 years from then, but in December 1912, when all the
Everyone went on holiday. Yeah.
they put the act through.
Yeah, 26th December or something like that, Boxing Day or something like that.
Yeah. And thus started the Federal Reserve,
Yep.
first private bank in the world. Now, there's one country, I believe, that doesn't have a private bank, and that's Iran.
Yeah. I mean, so I would say that I agree with all of that. I think that though the story about the Bank of England being sort of bought up by financiers before that, I think is probably the case. You know, if it's windy right now in my microphone, I apologize for that. And I think that with respect, I tend to agree with you that Iran or maybe North Korea or whatever could be outside of the system, and Syria was always, they wanted Syria so they could bring it into the system. Yes and no. Yes, they probably want the banking system, and those Islamic countries have fought hardest perhaps to keep them. Now, other people have fought hardest, but because it's a franchise system, ultimately that country knows it's, Assad is kind of like in the club. So eventually he's going to give away, he's going to put up a good resistance, let his people think they've fought like we did in South Africa, we fought against the communist threat. That was a fake threat. It wasn't real. But they let us think we were fighting against something real. And we fought, and in the end of it, they gave it away in a heartbeat as soon as Mandela was ready to go.
There's a countryman, you're not there now, so obviously, but there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's got a channel called HistoryReview.com.
Okay.
And he goes right into all the oppression, and he blames the Jews. He blames Jews on the problem, sort of
Dave himself,
making sort of directing the backs to attack him. And I've been watching about all the farm murders, and it just blows my mind in this day and age.
Yeah.
And how it's gone that 360.
Yeah.
From the right suppression.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? But the bank, you know, people do say that Jews have a a sort of clan, if you like, have inordinate amount of control, and you know, the person who runs the Reserve Bank of South Africa happens to be a Jewish lady too. Last time I looked, so it's interesting how much Jewish people are brought into it. But I'm at pains to express to people that Jan Lamprecht would be there. Now I'm at pains to express to people that my views are that the Jewish people are being exploited in the same way that the white people were in South Africa, in the same way that the sort of Sunni are exploited in one part of the world and the Shia are exploited in another. They just use that dialectic to get one group to say, oh, we're better than you and we're going to tell you what to do. And I think it's a bit of like, they're all in bed with each other. So if you're a Jew, you're in one of the tightest clubs in the world, and so you give each other jobs, you make sure that, you know, you're looking after each other first and foremost, and that has created its own tension. I believe actually there was an event in America yesterday where some 8, 10, 12 people have been apparently killed in a shootout or some kind of event. Yeah. Now this for me is almost like presaging perhaps another period of time when the Jewish people are castigated once more for the ills of the world, in the same way that the white people were castigated for the ills of South Africa, when in fact the white people were merely patsies playing a role assigned by the empire, by the game players, by the game owners, by the franchise holders. So this is what I think is happening, and I encourage people not to kind of try and take sides, because we're all one human race, but we're all being, you know, like the folks down there that are fighting for their Shia Sunni split, or their Wahhabi extremist views, or their Hebrew Israelite views, or whatever. These people are all being kind of encouraged to take sides, say, oh, we're separate from them, we're better than them. This is, you know, if you don't know this, you won't go to heaven. If you don't do this, you won't get virgins, and all that sort of stuff, right? Well, I'm saying that that's all a mind control, and all of it is that. And so if you get lost in any of those squabbles, which is why I'm happy to have a go at the corporations, like the pharmaceutical industry, the corporations like the banks, and the corporations like the UK PLC, the government of this country, which is just a corporation, the police or federation, which is just a corporation, you know, and these are all dead entities who are now controlling the most, you know, the creator's most important, beautiful, wonderful asset, which is you and me. And that is an absolute crime against the creation itself. It's almost like pouring acid onto a tree and saying, I'm doing nothing wrong. Well, of course you're doing something wrong, and you're harming nature.
The biggest things I can't get is State of Israel, Palestine, and what's going on there, the apartheid,
Yes.
the murder and killing and the genocide of the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
The Western world just seems to go.
Yeah, just like they did with South Africa. They didn't care when the blacks were being maligned through apartheid, which they set up, the Europeans set up, and they didn't care now. They don't seem to care when the whites are being maligned by these racist black rulers that are in power now. So for me, I used to be sort of supportive and understanding of the Palestine situation, even though I was brought up to kind of believe in the Israel project, that Israel should be carved out and so on. I no longer accept that, but I realize that when they do that, when they create these borders and they divide a group from another group and they say, oh, you can't come here and so on, and they restrict them from goods and services and make life hard for them, they're doing it to push. It's like pushing the dog to the wall, man. Eventually you starve him enough, he's going to bite back at you and create that.
Cuts off the humanitarian aid now.
Yeah.
The UN, haven't they?
Yeah.
Cut that right off.
Yeah, well, I mean, but this is all about making the voters happy, unhappy, angry, choose sides, get fucked off with the system for supporting the Israel thing. So the Palestine thorn in the side is like the Castro thorn in the side. You know, they used Fidel Castro, who was merely a puppet of the CIA. They used him to create never-ending fear for the American people. The Bay of Pigs bullshit. You know, there is no such thing as nuclear bombs. That is all bullshit. Yeah. So that is all created. The fire that's stoked is created, and the information is let out, and oh, this is where MI6 is, and it's in movies, and just think about our Secret Service and all. That's all designed to kind of think that there is a war against an enemy. The enemy is within. Our military weapons labs and our chemical farms and so on that are making weapons, biological weapons and so on, they're doing that to poison our fellow brothers and sisters. If they're using it in this country, I don't know. Are they selling it to other countries? I absolutely know that they're doing that. So we're actually creating the same poisons that we poison ourselves with, and we might say, oh yeah, well we only sell it to those bad guys, we only sell it to those guys over there, and they're okay, and they won't do it to their people. And then perhaps the Americans will sell it to our people, so that the Americans aren't poisoning themselves; they're poisoning us.
I like the one you yesterday. Was it Ipswich yesterday?
Day before I think was Ipswich. Yeah, yesterday was yesterday was Swindon, and a few days ago was Ipswich.
Wherever it was, where you were telling the people about this government growing 95 tons of cannabis a year and exporting it.
Mother truckers.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Amir, 10 days ago, the authorities stormed into my house, locked me up, incarcerated me for the entire day, held my wife and my baby boy in a bedroom for 2 hours, searched my house entirely, stole 5 plants from my garden. I was growing 5 cannabis plants in my garden for my own medicine use and so on. They have no scales, I don't sell, there's no one come and said, oh, I'm selling or whatever. But a neighbor, I think, said to them, whatever, that's another story. But the point is that the government of the United Kingdom grows 95 tons under license, has the largest cannabis farm in Europe, in Norfolk, and is the largest supplier of medical cannabis in the world. And if I grow 5 for my own medical needs, they can bang me up and fuck me up as much as they like. Why? Because it's a total corruption.
And so there's a field near Ipswich, or in Ipswich?
Yes. The largest farm in Europe is in Ipswich or in Norfolk, and they are selling 44%, according to the World Health Organization, of legal cannabis around the world. And the UK government has always known, like every other government, that cannabis is medicine. All of them knew that when they banned it. All of them. It has been a project, as I say, the franchise system. How do you get all the countries around the world, pretty much, to ban a plant, which essentially is really good for you? The endocannabinoid system within your body needs nourishing with cannabinoids, and therefore to use it raw is one of the most important things that you can do with your medicine. Right? So
it's a natural plant. It's God-given plant.
Say?
It's God-given plant.
God-given plant, a seed-bearing plant. As it says in the Bible, any plant like that, any plant that's seed-bearing is a good plant. And we know now that it can be used for, or is always used for rope, hemp, canvas. The word canvas comes from cannabis. We're just talking about how the government in the United Kingdom is the largest grower of medical cannabis in the entire world. 44%, according to the World Health Organization, 44% of medical cannabis comes from the United Kingdom. 10 days ago, they decided to snatch my 5 little modest plants out of my garden that I grow for my own purposes. No dealing, no scales, no buds weighed up. I said to them, it's harvest time. Why have you got so much weed? I said, you've come at harvest time. Can you believe it? They come at harvest time and they steal my entire harvest. Now, this is, you'd think you're living in some sort of barbaric ancient times. I'm surprised they didn't steal my wife and child at the same time.
It's like not only cannabis, CBD oil, okay, but there's vitamin B17.
Yes.
Cures cancer.
Yeah. But some of these things are not on their own, but I accept that. I accept that there are myriad cures, and it's awesome to hear you say that.
Edward C. Griffin, he's done a few videos on layer 2, B17.
Yes. Apricot seed. Yeah. No, our whole. And I used to be a fitness instructor, and I got quite a high level of qualification in the United Kingdom as a fitness instructor, right? But all of that stuff I was taught in the military, all of that stuff I was taught as a fitness instructor, all of that health information that the government gives you, says this is how you should look after your body. Most of that is upside down, the wrong way around, topsy-turvy, disinfo, and that is why I tell my friends around the country that we have never been less healthy. People say to me, oh, we're living longer, our life expectancy has never been better. I say that's partly propaganda, and maybe if you look at the last 50 or 200 years, you might say we're doing slightly better, but we're doing better, if we are at all, with a handful of pills. And in my lifetime, when I was a child growing up, no one I knew got cancer. No child I knew got cancer. Now I know children who died of cancer. I know children who have cancer. I've lost friends at very, very young ages to cancers. Dogs and animals are getting cancers. They've got vets now that are doing the oncology for vets. Like chemotherapy for dogs. That's how much cancer we have in our world today. We are so poisoned, our minds, bodies, and souls. We have never been sicker, and we have never been further from the truth about nature and being in touch with who and what we truly are. So, vaccines, we thought it was in our best. I grew up thinking, vaccines, the medical health profession is the very best. It's smart. It's using the smartest things, Jenner, vaccines and so on. I thought that was all good, but actually it turns out there's far more harm caused by all of these things. And when we come back to cannabis, we know no one's ever died from cannabis, but the government will happily have you drink their alcohol, their Heineken. Before the football, if the world was Heineken, made by Heineken, everyone would just drink beer all day long. Yeah? Well, let me tell you that they want you sick. We know that alcohol is a neurotoxin. We know that, the fast food industry is so far from, healthy that it should be, criminalized. That they want to give me a hard time for growing a few plants, and yet they let McDonald's sell poison to children. I mean, there's children that wobble out of that place that should be, I'm not suggesting this, but they're so sick at the age of 10 and 12 years old. It's almost like their parents have been doing them a very bad disservice. They have actually been child abusing their child, not even knowing it, because they trust their government. Their government would surely not allow such poisons in the mind, body, and soul. But actually, our government is not our friend. Our government.
Every other week there's a new mental disorder discovered. They want to give our kids more big pharma for that.
Absolutely. Like I say, the Afghan poppy fields have been secured by the American military. We've never had more poppy coming out of America, and we've never had more opiate abuse by the mainstream.
Biggest smugglers in the world, CIA.
The biggest smugglers in the world might be the CIA, but the biggest drug dealers in the United Kingdom are the doctors and pharmacists. Unfortunately, that's the uncomfortable truth, my friends, is that the doctors and pharmacists are the purveyors of poison, and they are not allowed to cure people, actually. And because their education is so controlled, and their thinking by the time they get to the age of 20 and 22, their thinking is so streamlined that in universal, one verse, one way of seeing the world, they become indoctrinated, and we call them doctors. As I now like to remind my friends, is that if I told you I doctored a financial report, would you think that I'd done it to crook the numbers in my favor, maybe? That's what happens when you doctor a financial report. You alter it in your favor. And so when we make someone a doctor and I'm a drug dealer, then I teach him that my drugs are good for his patients. Yeah, you might lose some, but we're trying our best. Next year we'll come up with some new drug. Or if it causes them this side effect, why don't you just give them another drug? And we'll make profit on that too.
That was Carnegie and Rothschild.
Again, yes, it was yes. And the
just over 100 years ago, there were no pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes, and there were 12 medicines about.
Home remedies
Yep.
and homeopathy.
Including cannabis, sativas and indicas, very much in a medicine cabinet, and within many of the medicines that were herbal medicines that were available. Absolutely.
And as you say, there were no cancers.
No.
Certainly deaths.
No, people will come and say, "Oh, it's because we're living longer." That's for people who read the newspaper. All right, that's the sort of mindless bullshit that for people that haven't started to pay attention or visited the oncology wards and seen how many, the industry of cancer, right? If you want to be a doctor, one of the best, most profitable ones to be in is oncology. There's so much money in the cancer industry, so why would they want too much cannabis getting out there?
What do they give the kids in the cancer wards? Sweets and ice cream.
And guess a friend of mine's daughter which is we talk about acidosis, right? This is what causes cancer. A friend of mine's daughter at the age of 5 got cancer and went to a hospital called St. George's Hospital in London, and guess what the kind McDonald's company has built a little wing for the parents to go and spend the night, and it's called on the outside the McDonald's something or other, right? I can't remember now, but it's sponsored by McDonald's, the very people who are causing the cancers. Why? Because they're all in bed together. And
You actually say that well. You should say
McDonald's. And here's the funny thing now that I'm thinking about it. My children went to junior school and got taught this little rhyme. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. For fuck's sake, you're teaching 7-year-old children to celebrate the very fucking poison that's going to kill them. this gets me really angry, Amir, as you can tell. When I think about this and the dying that's going on. My mother died in 2011 of a terrible disease. It's okay. It's part of what spurred me on. I was heading 45 or whatever, heading towards being stale and old. I was 44, stale and old and whatnot, and you know, what's my life all about and whatnot. Then my mom went ahead and died in 7 months from diagnosis, died. And fit lady. And motor neuron disease is what took her. Motor neuron disease is a disease I know that we can cure. We can actually cure these diseases, but the system doesn't want that because it's not profitable. It's not profitable, and they don't want you to know that there's natural cures that you can make for free. Remedies you can make self at home, grow yourself. No. They want you spending 10,000, 100,000 pounds or your life savings or whatever, or the taxpayer funneling more money into the NHS, just to continue this system. So it's quite deep, but the thing of cannabis is quite stark. Now, from the 1st of November, drug dealers in this country will be, not drug dealers, doctors in this country will be allowed to prescribe cannabis extracted drugs, medicines. And these are ones where the pharmaceutical companies are able to profit from because they sort of run some sort of patent, they extract a little piece of it, and then they say, here's a pill, you can take that and I'll charge you £10 for each pill. Right, so that's where we're moving to. The government is allowing people, drug dealers and stuff, to hand this stuff out. In the future, perhaps they'll allow people to grow it at home as well.
And the people in England, the people who actually grow it, is Anne-Marie Rudd's husband. He's actually the guy who grows them up.
There's my friend Sean. He's got a mine of useful information. I should say hello to my friends on. We've been chatting for a little while now, about half an hour. I'm going to take a little wander around, and we'll talk again some more, my brother. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll be. Sorry, we'll be in touch again, and we can Skype or do whatever. Thank you. Again, all the best, brother. Take care.
Thanks, mate.
Hey, no problem. Thanks, Daryl. Let me just say hello to some folks who came in at the early days here. Oh, there's some shit chat. Sorry, it's Tapper 777. Hello. Flatbutt. Andrew. Hello. And Martin and John. Wow. It's kind of, I'm not used to being so busy, guys. Hey, Zane. I can't really read my eyesight and all that shit. I'm going to just join the crew here and say I hope you're having fun there.
And he can't do that. Now, I'm not saying that causes illness. Because in there, there's advertisers for him to have that. So then they get
That's good, eh? Hey, Spock.
It's
It's lovely. Actually, the weather's turned out nice. Sorry, mate. It's the weather's turned out nice, and I'm here with my friends at Speaker's Corner. Just going to take a little breather. There's not a lot going on here. I mean, it's quite a bit of chit chat, but I can just take a quick stroll away. I've hopefully got plenty of battery pack, and I just want to apologize to those folks who were listening to me on where were we? At Swindon. My battery died partway through a conversation about legislations and stuff like that. There's more to come, and what is it they say? Keep people wanting a little bit more. I don't want to bore the heck out of you guys, and I'm genuinely grateful for the significant number of supporters, or I don't really like that word. Even subscribers and stuff. Just friends or people who have kind of feeling the message from me. I welcome you. I'm grateful for your contribution. Yeah.
To take away from you every liberty, and you are not able to resist.
Yes.
And that is what the liberal elites are doing. They are taking away your free speech. Do not give them an inch, because they will take a mile. If you let them create a legal distinction in law, as they are attempting to do, in which one community is privileged above another, then that means that with each reduction of your freedom of speech, your ability to resist the next reduction is reduced.
Correct.
So all of you who are watching have a choice. You either start to stand up to the establishment or you watch them trample over the heritage of our forefathers who died in countless wars to bequeath to you a free country.
Yeah, I like some of that.
What can you do? Obviously, I'm not going to stand here and advocate violence. But for those of you who know British history, we have had bloodless revolutions in this country before.
How about apologizing to the people you murdered in the army there? That's a good
Through
start.
the bloodless revolution.
Mr. Cheswick.
No shedding of blood,
Damn.
but a change of regime.
You're gone, pal.
And that is what we need to do right now in this country and across the EU. You need a bloodless revolution. The establishment has to go. That bloodless revolution.
Interesting. Soccer counts. They're so tiny-minded little people. We don't need to worry ourselves too much about the tiny-minded souls. They don't have to come up this time around. That's how it is.
It doesn't work.
That's how it is.
There's no point in it. Where is the country that has that? I would say Cuba. Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't have time for that. Really.
I see how the Muslims live, and I was in Syria and Jordan and Egypt. I know why the Muslims live in Israel. They want to go live in the Muslim world. They want an Israeli government rather than a corrupt Muslim government.
It's all a franchise system designed to control you, my friend.
I wonder why.
And to keep people like this. Angry.
Muslims have carried out suicide bombings in Israel. Israel will
Sure they're not false flags? Sure they're not false flags? I think Islam and Muslim is getting blamed incorrectly. Yeah. 9/11 wasn't done by the Muslims. You know that, right? So attacks that happen sometimes in America, sometimes in Israel, or even here, they're not done by the Muslims. They're done by the secret services. They maybe they might find one or two Muslim guys who are angry enough to go along with something or want to do something. I'm not saying that's impossible, but at the main, it's been orchestrated from behind the scenes to create an enemy that isn't real. I have myself kept Muslim refugees in my house in 1993 and 1994 in Cape Town. They escaped from the first Gulf War. So I've been close to people of any faith or any background or whatever all my whole life. I've never known any of them to be violent people. I've never known them in Muslims, for example, never known them to want to cause harm to anyone. I know how much in Islam it's important not to do harm. It's haram. It's not right.
Are you live, yeah?
No, I am live. I've got 50 people on my stream. Do you want to say hello? Hello. This is my new friends here. Hi. What's your name, bro? Shez. I'm Dave. Ahmed. Joseph. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm a totally everybody's equal kind of guy. I don't buy into the things that make me want to think, oh, I need to fear that group, this group, because he's white, he's black, he's Muslim, or he's Jewish. You know, it's all being designed to kind of make one group dislike or fear or worry about another. And if I was a Muslim man, in the same way, I grew up in South Africa as a white guy in South Africa in the 1970s. I was blamed for being a racist because the government that I grew up in had racist ideologies and racist ways of going about their business, right? But I was blamed for that. So people saw me as the problem simply because my skin was white. You know what I mean? And so if I was a Muslim man in the world today, I would feel like people are looking at me like I'm the problem simply because of the faith that I am in or am part of or I believe in or whatever. So all I'm trying to do is to find a way to talk to all my brothers around the place and say, hey, we are all one, and let's stop buying into the dialectic, because this gentleman here, nice as he might be, he's totally bought into the division and says, oh, it's these guys, and these guys are coming to, in this country, they say, oh, it's the Tommy Robinson, they're coming to take my job, they're coming to take this, they're coming to take that. It's all all bullshit. You go to another country, oh, they're coming to do this, they're coming to do that, and so on. In my world, they taught me that the Russians were coming to take my country, the communists were coming to take South Africa. So I went to war for my country when I was 19 years old in a country called Angola. I wrote a book about it. It's all a matter of fact. It's not, and I'm telling my name is Dave. My book is called Battle on the Lomba in 1987. Battle on the Lomba in 1987. Prince Harry has a copy of my book. It's a bona fide British military publisher found my book. A story. He's like, shit, I'll publish your story, man, because it's the biggest tank battles in Africa since World War II. Right?
What's your Facebook?
I'm on YouTube. I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on YouTube. My YouTube is called Trinity 4. Trinity 4.
What's the name of your book?
Battle on the Lomba. You can. It's on Amazon. Battle on the Lomba, 1987. Now, I'm not trying to boast about that, but I just want to say is that I understand propaganda has messed with my mind and got me to go into a war in which people died. And I was a crew commander in a vehicle, a tank-like vehicle, and I was shooting against other tanks in battle. They were shooting at me, and we were shooting at them. And there were days when people died on my side, and there were days when people died on the other side, and that's how it goes at war. The point is that this government of ours and the controllers of this game that we call our world want us to keep at war with each other. And I think some people say they want to have a third world war, or they're in a third world war or something like that. I'm doing everything I can to prevent there being wars between my brothers, because I know that all Muslims, all people of the world generally that I've ever met just want to have a quiet, happy life, a good life, a respectful life, and so on. And some of the most honorable people that I know are Islamic people, Muslim people. Because if anything, Islam is quite like a disciplined religion, so it has. I find Islamic friends more disciplined oftentimes than say Christian friends, because us Christians, where we came from, I was a Christian, I was brought up that way, but we're like, oh, religion's all bullshit, the Virgin Mary, this is it, we don't believe in this stuff. So a lot of us came through school and saying, no, religion's all wrong, whereas Muslims are very much, oftentimes, very attached to their faith, and as a consequence, live quite good lives and very well lives and respectable lives. That's my view. But now in Islam, you've got Sunni, you've got Shia, and these are also, in my mind, to be honest, have been created to create that division. So there's always fraction. Coke, Pepsi. I can say you're fighting against Coke or Manchester United, Everton, or blue and red. That's all that is. And I see that and I'm like, sorry for that, because it's like, whoa. So not only are the Muslims or the Christians against the Muslims against each other. Shit,
You know that?
Yeah, shit.
That's the problem.
Yeah, too much. Too much. Too much of that. And but that's why they keep us weak, because we're divided and not together. And I'm finding a way, my brother. I'm finding a way to try and bring us all together. Lovely to meet you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking your time.
Have a good
Chat
day.
on my tab.
Take
We'll
care.
see you again, huh? Yeah, see you again. Sorry. So there you go. There's a little bit of that's how people feel. People who say to me, "Oh, Muslims are after this, after that." No. They're just decent human beings, just trying to get along. Maybe being pushed out of their country because guess what? Our governments have conspired to create economic hardship, financial and other sorts of instability, actually direct wars, fund insurrections, allow the banking system to grow and impoverish people. Oh yeah, the list goes on and on, my man. Good afternoon, sir. Indeed, yes. What?
That lady bleeding you. She touched the hem of his garment.
Ah.
When Jesus came, you healed. There was another lady brought to Jesus by the religious leaders. By your commandment, by your Father's word, this lady should be stoned. Jesus said, he without sin cast the first stone.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for that, brother. Yeah. But when he said cast the first stone, when he meant stoned, he meant smoking cannabis, I think. That's what he meant about getting stoned. So it's important that you get stoned in order to allow Jesus to fully... Oh, look, Harry's getting taught. You're getting schooled, Harry.
Yeah.
Some religious schooling, long overdue. My friend. Four corners, the earth is flat. Indeed, and unmovable. Hey, brother. Dave, Dave. How you going? Dave, man, that guy's a rock. He was talking about flat Earth here before we were. I have to credit him with that. He said he was here a year before we were. So, good afternoon, horses and humans. Hello, hello, hello. May I? Hello, hello. Look at this beautiful horse. Hello. Hello, you beautiful horse. Eh? What a beauty. Thank you. Thank you. Man, what a beauty. Feel that. Yeah, we don't have as many folks around the campsite right now, but that's all good, man. It's all good. I suppose, hey, Ruben, and Barry, I am not a fan of the clothing, but you know, I have to say, obviously, this is what indoctrination can do for us. I think I told that old lady the earth was flat before, but it was a little bit shocking. So I won't go there again. I want to say thank you for tuning in, and I haven't ever been this well received. I know there's some folk are hoping that I will deliver a Oxford-like, I don't know if you may or may not have seen, but there was an Oxford moment, about 10 minutes of craziness, where I delivered a pretty inspiring speech. Actually, my friend Robin, who's got a channel called Lifting the Lid, he made a sort of clip with it, put some background music to it, and I watched it this morning, and I'll be honest with you, it made me tearful at the end, man. I have to admit that. It was, you know, it's not like I've been doing what I'm doing now. Not like I've been doing this all along, or that this was what I was planning to do all along. It was just, hey, that felt really good. It worked really well. It seemed really easy. And maybe I'm meant to be doing this. Interesting conversations going on here. Hi, sorry to interrupt you. Hello. Oh, you didn't find me? Yeah, hi. I'm Dave. Yeah, what's your name? Oh, you don't want to shake my hand? You don't want to shake my hand? Yeah, shake my hand, bro. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Here's something for you to think about, though. 3 years ago, I was introduced to the idea that there was no measurable curvature on our ball Earth. Okay, I'll film the rest of the people. Let me film myself, though. Let me film myself. Because I've got 60 people watching at the moment, so they might want to say, hey, there's Taylor. Hello. Yeah, so, hi folks. Yeah, I was introduced to the idea that there is no measurable curvature on the earth at the moment. So
I must abide at your house. And my dear friend Zacchaeus, he came down joyfully.
In Australia right now.
And he, my dear friend,
yeah, so small light. Yeah, light is small. Like the light doesn't travel infinitely.
No, but
my dear friend,
the sun explosion is different everywhere around. Going through the shadow, you can see the light.
Say that again, sorry?
The other side of the world,
Yeah.
of my goods,
they have what would be night.
and where I have taken
Yeah.
Because why? It's different in the other way.
any man,
Whereas if you're suggesting it was black, then you all have black, wouldn't you?
I will restore him
Does that make
fourfold.
sense?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, I know with the theories that we were all given, because I'm 50, right? So for 47 years, I went along with all the theories we were given as to how it worked. And so there are millions of good explanations as to how this works and why. But when it comes to what we can measure and test, I don't try and stick with that. So when I look at water and the dynamics of water, then fluids are always going to find a level when they're at rest. And that level actually can be measured to be horizontal with every other level of water around.
to forgive us our sins. And
When you say believe, I don't try and believe. I'm not a religious man, so I don't have belief. I try not to have belief.
My dear friends, this is the way
Yeah.
to forgiveness. This is the way to recovery.
No. You see, before gravity, this is why it's important for you to know that we don't accept, because gravity is a theory. So just like in theology, theories are just a belief system, an idea. So a lot from that idea is built the idea of relativity. So before you can build relativity, you have to be sure that gravity is a real thing. Now, modern science says gravity can't be measured. They don't really know what it is. And the example of dropping something now is really an example of density and buoyancy. And before gravity, the term, the phrase, and the maths that sits behind it was invented 80 or 100 years ago, everybody knew that things were either more buoyant or more dense than the surrounding environment, whether it be in oil, water, air, helium, or whatever. Things are going to go up or down relative to the environment they're in, right? So that's buoyancy and density. So we don't need gravity. On this earth, we don't actually need gravity, especially when there's only one up and one down. When there's only one level playing field that you play your football on, a level pitch, not on the ball, right? So what's in the sky is another conversation, and how they work is another conversation. But let's stay on the ground where we can measure zero curvature from here to England. From England to France, we can measure zero curvature. We can measure zero curvature across Lake Michigan, which is 50, 60 miles to Chicago, right? We can measure that zero curvature. And then we can measure the Suez Canal, which is 100 miles long. So if I was to say to you, I can model up to 100 miles on Earth that has flat water, you can't model for me anything more than a droplet that's going to show me that water can be formed in a round until you use maths.
He asked back, Lord, who are you?
Yeah.
And the answer came, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. It is
That's okay, my brother. You know what? It took me 3 months, a few weeks anyway. I've certainly hard looking to go, you know what? Actually, I can't answer those questions, saying, because I brought my children up on the spinning core, molten core middle, and so on. Now I realize those are all theories.
What do you want me to do?
Absolutely. So, but for me, one of the big, just so you know, one of the big stepping stones was the 9/11. The 9/11 thing, I bought into Osama bin Laden and 19 Muslims. Turns out that's all lies. You know, it wasn't them. Well, again, until I only looked at this 3.5 years ago. Beginning of 2015, I started looking at all this stuff. And until then, I was totally nescient. I'd say nescient. I didn't know there was another truth. I just thought that the BBC, I thought that the documentary channels, they would tell me the truth. But they're not, they're propagandists. So I'll leave you with that, my brother. Lovely to meet you. I've got to go and rock and roll. Pretty lady.
That he should go down the road with straight roads.
The boy for you. Right, you said that to my girlfriend. Let's turn the camera off me. Nice one. Has Dave said hello? And since we've gone, yeah, I did. Hello, Marilyn. And my eyesight, I have to admit, struggling in this. Rocks in the sky. Yeah, Zane, thanks for that, man. Gee, that's a nice little thing, actually. A highlight, I guess, for me. That's a highlight for me. I'd say that's really good. So let's carry on a little, having a look here, walk around here. Hey, honey.
I'm gonna go.
Alrighty. Let me just turn this one. Yeah, she's busy with Harry. Here, right here. Hey, Zizi. Hey, baby boy. Hey, sweetie. Me carry. I think my little boy wants me. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't make you too dizzy. I'm multitasking right now. Oh, isn't it interesting? I got to talk about war. No.
The pure
When she said, that's my uncle there.
Nice one, Harry. This is my niece Taylor. She's over from America, and I haven't hit her too hard with the flat Earth business, but she's out here having a look today.
Faithful and just to forgive us our
Isn't it interesting us? We're all so much caught up in our own version of how it really is. I guess one has to remain mindful not to fall foul of similar sorts of complacency, you know. Thank you, sir, for your contribution. What's up, baby? What's up, my beautiful? We're a little bit far away from the thing, but no. I mean, obviously, folks, I will try and do the right thing and deliver something useful and interesting. Who else have we got here? You don't want to interrupt these folks when they're sort of mid-discussion, but hopefully you find this useful, because we can't just talk about the flat Earth. I want to tell them that we're all Jesus. Some people don't like that, though. Some people think it's like a kind of religious statement. I hope not. It's just like a metaphor, I suppose, to get people to understand how important and how central we all are. I'm afraid it's a bit quiet. It's hard to hear.
Right, I'll see you later, yeah? I'll see you later.
Yes, honey. You're gonna go with mommy.
Maybe go this way.
Bye bye, honey. I'm live at the moment, and I've got 58 friends keeping an eye on what we're saying. So that's interesting, isn't it? When I say friends, I mean like people who take an interest. Some of them are fantastic people. Most of them are fantastic people, actually. All people are fantastic people, perhaps, but some are just a little bit further from the place of goodness. You know, this is really where all we really want to see. They say, you know, like the word God and good are very similar. This has got like one O in it, extra, good and God. And so to be good is kind of to be godlike in a way, you know. And I think that's something worth striving towards. Is just simply to be a good person. The problem is that if I was to say, well, in order to be a good person, I'm going to write a little sort of user manual and a guide. Well, that's a great idea. Maybe you should try do this. Maybe do a little sun gazing, a little bit of earthing, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of meditation or whatever, and that's great. But over time, if people come down the line and say, oh, if you don't follow Dave's rules, you're going to go to like some nasty place and get burned, or if you don't follow Dave's rules, you're going to be excommunicated from the community and so on. And it's like we come here with a free choice, so you should be given the kind of ideas about how it is to be good, how to find good, the way to good, and so on. That should be given to you, and then you should be allowed to find your own way to that. But what we've got here is a whole lot of disinfo and misinfo and crossed wires and power plays and so on, all designed to keep us squabbling with each other and never finding the truth about who and what we really are. That is my synopsis. Thank you for your time, Taylor. Israel, shame.
Use your tongue in the right way.
Yes. Damn. That troll there was checking me out big time. Oh, I recognize his photo from the. Here's another one. They all have the same kind of like look about them. Most of them I think are white, but that may not be. That may not be true. I suspect that they're amongst the group. Hey, Roxanne.
We're wondering if you were going to do anything at an elevated decibel this afternoon.
Oh, right, yeah. I don't know.
Actually,
hoping for something like that.
For you to do that. And
Yeah.
is Dave going to do any
Any theatrical?
Are you requesting as well? think you're going to have to start charging them for this, Dave. I said, do you mind going and getting him? I said, oh, he does love a crowd though, guys.
I do. Yeah, you require the energy. I mean, what happened in Oxford was really the consequence of people firing me up. You know, people shouting at me, people trying to shut me down, and it just turned into like
if you want, we can all come into the crowd.
Yeah, because we're a bit far from there's very few people there, and you don't generate that kind of repeat energy, and I have no really place barracking these people in such a way.
And should we gate crash the crowd?
The true religion of God.
Yeah? Okay, I'll orchestrate.
Yeah. No religion is true. You know, you are the God, you are the creator, and you should have a relationship of being good with yourself. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. Hey guys. Hi. Again. Hi again. Richard, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you.
Guardian, and
You're also.
This is
Hi.
James, and
Hi,
I've
James.
forgotten your name. Alex.
Hey Alex, nice to meet you. Guy with the camera. Nice piece of kit. That's fine. We'll ignore you, Alex. Cameramen don't really like being in the camera, do they?
So
Just let me do my thing. Yeah, let me do my thing.
Yeah, please.
Richard, eh? And Dave. I was just saying to Roxanne that what fires me up is having like people around who need. Who are resisting kind of the message, and so the harder they resist me, like the more it inspires me to kind of, turn like something just happens and it turns the machine on, and I just start talking about the stuff that I'm very passionate about.
I bet you love it, right? It's sort of the opportunity to kind of like speak to people and have that dynamic.
Wow, it's actually something that's quite new for me, Richard. I didn't know that this was coming. It's come as a bit of a surprise. In the last few months, since June when we started doing this, I've been learning a lot about myself that I didn't know before. So the last few days I've been out on tour with the guys around the UK, and I've been delivering moments of, let's say, passion that I never realized were going to come from it. And I watched a clip that a friend of mine took, a 10-minute in Oxford. I went on a 10-minute wildfire at a crowd that grew bigger and bigger, and at the end of it they gave me an applause. But this friend of mine put it into a kind of just a little sound thing with some music behind it. And I watched it this morning, and it made me, at the end, I sort of wept because and I said to my friends, actually, I think I've found what I'm meant to be doing. I found that what I'm meant to be talking about. In my entire life, I'm 50 now. I didn't really know what it was I was here to do.
Right.
And the liberation that I've realized through understanding that we are the central players. We are the raison for this whole thing. The reason for this whole creation is actually us, and that we are the capstone of the pyramid that has been displaced by a long history of misadventure, shall we say?
How did it feel when you got to that moment where you kind of realised, hey, this is something that I'm good at and that I enjoy doing, and that really gives me a sense of purpose?
I think I'm still really computing that, Richard, to be honest with you. It's so fresh. Honestly, what I delivered in Oxford 2 or 3 days ago was mind-blowing for me too. It was like a milestone moment in my life. So I'm still sort of in that state of, wow, is this real? Is this going anywhere? Does this mean something? But I can
describe it. Is it sort of euphoria? Was it
when I'm delivering in that moment, it's not euphoria so much as a deep passion, and I'm just pulling from inside of me, from above me or whatever. I'm just pulling information out that I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years, because 3 or 4 years ago I was still marching down the Mall as a veteran alongside of the to the Queen and what have you. I didn't serve in the British Army, but I served in the South African Army I'm a British boy, but served in the South African Army under conscription, national service in 1986 and 87, and as a consequence I got to march at Veterans Day, Remembrance Sunday in London for 3 or 4 years. I then realized that a lot of the stuff that I used to think was the way that the world really worked and the construct that we live in was not as had been taught to me. So it took me a lot of time. It took a year out. I'd published a book that had been quite successful, and so I had a little bit of money. I took a year out and I researched the world. I started all over again in the hopes to write a second book. And now I have all the stored information and passion and energy that I'd not, as a middle-aged man, I'd lost sight of, to come out and share with my fellow brothers and sisters a truth that I was never ever going to share if I'd gone down the religion route.
And what are you about to do now? Roxana's mentioned that there's kind of like, you kind of like to go into the crowd that's over there and kind of...
Yeah. Well, I need for me to order. Yeah, for me to kind of have an expressive moment. I mean, I've had a few deep conversations earlier, but with people. But to have like one of those really sort of Shakespearean moments, I need an audience to play from or play with. So yeah, we're going to cruise over there and see if we can rustle up some interest.
Great, let's go.
All right.
Maybe for
Oh yeah, maybe just get my
Of course, yeah, of course.
What's this for? Are you live?
Oh yeah, I'm live. Yeah. I should have mentioned. Sorry, I've got I got 60. I got 60.
film you. Okay, guys, I'm holding Dave Manill's phone. Yep. Yeah, of course you can. Okay, so Dave, I'm filming you just now. Yeah, he's got about 60 people watching him just now. I think Harry's got over 300 people watching him. How many people are watching you?
Yeah, it's a few people. Not a lot.
So between us two, we've got 80, 90.
Oh, that's.
We've got 400 altogether now.
All right. Okay.
We've got about 3.
I had to restart.
Ah.
I had to restart mine.
Hi, lifting.
Yeah. My screen froze.
Sorry if it's shaking a little bit. My hands are a little bit cold. Dave's just getting mic'd up. I'm just going to pan back a little bit so you can see what's going on, guys. My live feed is absolutely rubbish. My phone's not working, so I'm just going to give you a little taste of what's going on. There's the amazing Harry. You alright? Yeah, pal. I missed you. You alright?
Where were you hanging about this morning?
On the train. I was tube hanging, but I had a flat smacking opportunity, so it was great. Yep. Okay, my darling. Yep. I'm gonna go beside you, darling. They haven't seen you coming, honey. Okay.
Have a little walk in the lion's den.
Yep. Let's go for it. You got us all with you, Dave. You're about to see something special here, guys. We're gonna take Dave into the crowd. Wherever you want, and we'll crowd round you, darling. Right up into the lion's den. Yeah, you done no Tapa. 3 plenty. 3's absolute plenty. Okay, here we go.
Not just any relationship, but the relationship. Friends! Friends of London! Of God. Friends of Speaker's Corner! A relationship with the Lamb of God. Your government is keeping you divided. With your government is taxing you and charging you for the privilege to live here. This was what God is sponsoring the very religion, and it's so sad, that is keeping us divided. My friends are here today to tell you that for decades now, the edifice of the BBC, the edifice of the NHS, and the edifice of your religious institutions and academic institutions have been designed specifically to separate you from the truth of what and who you are. All religions require of you to subject yourself to a higher authority above you. All governments require of you to subject yourself to a higher authority above you. All religions, all governments are a franchise, and they have been working hand in glove to keep us small, to keep us divided, and to keep us in fear. That fear they use to get you to vote for them. because they tell you that they are going to protect you while at the same time funding the criminals that are coming to hurt you. Are you aware that in 1912, in a place called Jekyll Island, the bankers of the world...
Because it only takes a couple of us to go around him, and then this is what happens.
I guess having some cameras on him.
Reserve, like the Bank of England, is a privately owned organisation.
And as you can see, the chat room,
A publicly owned organisation
we all love it.
designed to rob you of your wealth. We all know that interest charges
That must feel pretty good.
extreme than the cost of delivering you that money. We know that properties are far, far too expensive for anybody to own in this day and age because your government will not allow the building of sufficient properties. Your government will enable the banking system to charge you the sorts of interest on money that you borrowed from yourself. Once you learn about the scam of the legal fiction, which is the name they send with the capital
Hope you're all able to hear Dave okay.
of your child, which I have not done, you realise that you have subjected yourself
That's the
given
truth.
away
He hasn't got a birth
your
certificate for his child, but he's got a passport. He's not doing.
corporation.
He's not conforming.
Now, in the
not
early
consenting to it, actually. It's
1900s,
probably a better word.
the pharmaceutical industry
You wouldn't necessarily know
combined
who
with
was
the
talking
petrochemical
about
industry
or
to push
the
cannabis
globe
out,
lie is,
to push natural
is relevant
medicines
yet,
out.
would you?
He
But the
kind of
fact is
he has a
that
bit
in
of a
this country
spiel,
today,
and
the
he
United
builds up
Kingdom
to it.
is the largest
Builds up to it. He never
exporter
starts
of
it with
medical
the earth is
cannabis
flat.
in the world. And yet 10 days ago, they incarcerated me for growing just 5 little plants in my garden for my own personal medical need. 95 tons is grown every year by this government and sold around the world. And from the beginning of November in 2018, just a few days hence, the drug dealers known as the pharmaceutical industry in this country and their drug dealing doctors will be allowed to prescribe cannabis products while still incarcerating an innocent, good human being like myself. There's far more that you need to understand because your bio, the entire environment that you live in, has been poisoned systematically. The water is very poisonous. You should be distilling your own water. The foods we all know are loaded with toxins, loaded with chemicals, loaded with artificial sweeteners and other things that cause cancers. The advice that you get given by your government that this sunshine is bad for you and causes cancer, absolute poppycock. The sun is your friend. All energy, all life requires the sun to grow. Don't hide your children from the sunshine. Don't wear the Foods are poison too. Tesco, Sainsbury's, Lidl, all of these companies are run by the elite. They have not got your good interests at heart. They have got their own personal profit interests at heart.
I'm on good work.
So I'm asking you
Oh, my
to stop.
friend.
Stop watching the Netflix. Stop absorbing the television, which is so bad for the brain. Stop taking your idea of reality from NASA, from Disneyland, from some singer, let's say, I don't know, tell me a singer, Britney Spears. You know, stop taking the idea of what a reality is from a footballer, from a cookery show, and from pornography. Wall to wall pornography. No, you need to kind of realize what you are and who you are. Now, why am I standing here? I'm a 50-year-old man. I could easily be sitting at home watching the Formula One or some other brainless, mindless activity. But 3 years ago, at the age of 47, a published author as I am, who
Well
thought
said,
he knew
Zayn.
what the world was about, I realized that 9/11, September 11 attacks in New York, the Twin Towers came down in 11 seconds. Impossible in the real world. But in the fantasy world of the BBC, very possible. And I used to believe in the BBC. I used to believe in the documentary channels. Until I found out that a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. This is a documentary.
Here he goes. He's about
Watch
to
this
flat smack
documentary
everyone.
my fellow brothers and sisters, you will realize that the moon landings were absolutely fake. Absolutely fake. Not only were they fake, we do not have the technology to go to the moon. And guess what else? Guess what else? I used to believe, like a religious belief, that rocks got rocks in the sky on a thing called time-space. Right? Now, time and space are two man-made ideas. There is no such thing as time. We only have this moment. And space is just space. Now, when I throw a rock into space, it comes back down. So it turns out that the moon cannot be a rock in space unless
Real
you
talk,
believe in
Zane.
a religious ideology called gravity, relativity.
Just so everyone knows, Jason and the Disbury is streaming this as well on his one. Okay, he's standing right beside me.
On this globe Earth, you are always on the top, and everybody else is somehow beneath you. Think about that, my friends. How is that possible? How is it possible that when we've never seen water curving, we've never seen the surface of water bending other than perhaps we think we see it in the distance, that a ship could leave my harbour and in 5 miles be going over the crest of the ocean, and then when I take a powerful telescope, I look at that ship and I find that it's resolved once more. So I found that 3 years ago, there is no curvature on this earth. It cannot be measured. There is no measurement, there is no scientific experiment that shows that earth is spinning. It turns out, my friends, there's all these religious people here squabbling with each other, fighting over this new war. That's why we're here.
No, that's China. He's not the president of China.
Catholicism or Christianity? No, my friends, it is called scientism. Scientism is the belief that if a thing gets large enough, it will start to attract water to the underside, and that beings will be able to walk underneath of that. I used to believe in Lawrence Krauss. I used to believe in Neil deGrasse Tyson and that Brian Koch. I used to believe him. But these are theoretical physicists. I'm talking about science that I can measure. That's all I'm interested in. If you tell me that you believe something, I'll tell you that's a religion. That's a religious belief, and the biggest religion today is scientism. The biggest religion today is gravity. The biggest religion today is Disneyland spinning balls up in space. There are no spinning balls in space. Balls in space come down. Play a game of football. Eventually that ball is coming down. Shoot a bullet into the sky. Eventually that bullet's coming down. There's no ifs and buts. There's one up, one down. We drilled 8 miles into this earth, that's all we know. When we send the balloon up to 20 miles, we see a flat, stationary, immovable plane. I'm telling you, my friends, the entire edifice of our education system is corrupted. Not by the people teaching it, they don't know they've been corrupted. That was the EA students who went ahead and became the professor, who went ahead and taught the next round of teachers. All I'm saying to you, my friends, is you cannot trust the things that you know. Go back and look at the things from a flat earth perspective. You will realize that not only have you been lied to about every part of who and what you are, but that quite possibly you might well be the center of creation. That you might well be a universe all by yourself. And that you might well be the uncapped pyramid.
Well said, Drew.
The capstone of the pyramid. The very sovereign that we give away to our Queen, to our Prime Minister, to our President. This sovereignty I'm asking you to take back. But this sovereignty you will never take back while you think you live on a spinning ball. Spinning balls do not hold water. Spinning balls do not hold human beings and rivers. The only thing that works in the real world is when things are flat and level, and the water will run down the hill, and it will get to a water level, it will get to a sea level, and it will get to an ocean level, and every one of those levels on this plane will be parallel to the other levels on this plane. I'm telling you now that you are perhaps the creator here have an experience of yourself. But that experience has been totally wrong. Before your grandparents were born, your experience had been produced. Your trajectory had already been predicted. Your enslavement was already well planned. Now we have the internet age, the age of information. And I'll tell you, that information I can count myself such that I can tell you that each of you is as powerful as the Queen. Each of you is as powerful as any other being in this place. Any division in your mind has been created by the system that would rather report each other than came together as one. We are but one human race. I'm asking you to go back. No religion here. There's no religion. I'm telling you. I'm not telling you a religion. I'm not telling you a government. I'm not telling you to go and beat your government up. I'm telling you to know thyself. Tracy, know thyself. Once you know thyself, there will be no one that can tell you who and what you are. No one who can subjugate you and force you to pay unnecessary taxes, force you to pay penalty notice every time you don't behave yourself, force you to eat shit and think like shit. So I ask you, my friend, go home today, go do a little bit of research on the subject. I've been talking on the subject for about 3 years now, and I ask you, start again. Go look at the man in the mirror, ask yourself if you can do this better, and start again. We have to turn all the pieces of the chessboard over, look at it all again. We have to start again. And I want to say thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, my darling.
Yes, if I didn't think it was so corrupt, I might go that way. Excuse me.
Well done. Awesome. Yeah, I gave him a round of applause too, guys. I think that was very, very captivating. Very captivating indeed.
Yeah, this is. I know we don't shout a lot.
I definitely think that was what we know. I'm getting a round of applause in the chat room. Everyone's saying well done.
I just got a text from Tyrone. Tyrone, shout out to you if you can hear me.
Yeah.
He's like, he's comatose. Tried to make it next Sunday.
Bless.
He's like, yeah, Dave's on fire.
Yeah, man. There's a few people talking to Dave now as a result of that. So that's a good look. Good look. I think that's what tends to happen when we do that. That it is a very captivating audience, and people seem to take heed of it, and so that's all that's really needed is to just ask. Sorry. No worries. So yeah. And like I said, it's not everyone's prepared to listen to that. If he was talking such rubbish, they would shut him up. Really, I mean, it's just very surprising. Like I said, if we weren't telling the truth of some sort, we wouldn't get the airtime to do this at all. You know? I'm just going to go and check the banners, and I'm coming straight back. 2 seconds. I'm literally just checking the banners, and I'll come straight back.
We're probably going to help with you.
Okay, cool. No worries. Yeah.
Do you ever stop live streaming?
No, not while we're here. No, we kind of just keep it going. Because what it does for everybody is, obviously we're getting a lot of haters from within the community. We're getting a lot of policing from other people that pertain to know they're not on the ball.
Yeah.
So with that, we've tried to give people as much transparency as possible by going live and letting everything come out there.
Yeah.
They're not looking at edited shots.
Okay, so lots of people live streaming.
Yep. There was about 80 people on this stream watching that. I think there's about 300 on Harry's stream.
It's really good, isn't it?
Like a little bit off.
Do you think?
Well, maybe I'll put it on this.
Yes, please, darling. Pop it on Trinity, because it's his one.
Sure. Hey Marilyn.
They'll get it back one day.
Thanks for joining us. Zoom Truth. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Dave is on fire today. Exceptional. Literally, I've got goosebumps. It's a good turnout.
By
It's got really busy lately.
Low level of education. They can't even get the main oil out.
Like, really busy. Yeah, Marilyn, it's Ruben. Ruben on the camera.
And he didn't use it wisely. That's why the country's a mess. His legacy is a mess. Look at Oman. I love Oman. There's a country with a good government who invests in his people and doesn't divide them into
Oh, yeah, Tyrone.
If it was a more like track like Gaddafi, they could be like Oman now.
John Sharp, Zayn. I agree, sunset's beautiful. Real talk. Flat earthers don't shake hands, we hug. Yeah.
Take control of ourselves, like I say.
Oh, thanks, Drew. I get camera shy, but I get told I'm okay in front of the camera, so. Yeah. Sorry, broadband is kind of loud out here. Thanks, Flat Earth Viking. Take care, mate. All the best. No worries, man. Have a good day.
Thanks so much, Ruben. It's cool. How are we getting on here?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. No, I was going to run away.
Would you mind standing release?
I don't mind at all. Did you enjoy that? Was I enjoyed it?
Oh, it's fascinating.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
Cool, let me just...
yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, it's just a bit impromptu and whatever comes up.
Passion.
Thank you. Thank you. I absolutely mean it all, as you can tell. Yeah, let me sign that.
Yeah,
Sure.
so on the social flat earth, obviously, we need.
Yeah.
Ideally,
Yeah, I mean, you know, we obviously,
just a contact number, just in case. We will not contact you.
Okay. I don't actually even know my phone number.
Address,
Yeah. Sure, I don't mind that. And
do you mind printing your name at the top as well, please?
yeah, sure.
Sorry for banging into you.
No. My apologies. No, that's all right. That's my.
No, I'm just filming your head. Just your head, darling. Just his head. Headshot.
What we're hoping for is a fair, fair hearing. So, these guys
So what? Very interesting. Can't pull it back. I don't know why they came in with rods as well. Did you see they rolled in with rods?
I think this guy filmed something.
And it was lovely because the sun was shining on your lovely.
Interesting. It's just on his head.
Just sucking up to him.
Love it. Just give you a bigger scene of what's going on here. Dave is just saying bye to the guys that were just filming us from The Guardian. They've been here for a few hours now, and they've kind of virtually filmed everything that's gone on. So I'm hoping that they give us a fair run. There's the guys there just talking to Dave just now. They seem pretty cool. But then I know what it can be like with press sometimes. They can lure us into a false sense of security. But this time I've got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping all goes well with it, with a bit of luck. So that is good, that is good. And as soon as Dave's ready, I'll give him, hello my darling, you alright? Yeah, as soon as Dave's ready, I'll give him his phone back. I decided to not live stream because I thought Harry and Dave and that they're doing such a great job of it. I think maybe I'm just going to film the same things that they're filming anyway. I'm thinking, sorry darling. I love the way that hat comes up on the camera. It's like psychedelic. Yeah, well said, Tapa. It has. It's absolutely freezing. You see how Ruben's moving his feet right about there? It's cold. It is cold. I should have put some more socks on. Like, it feels like I haven't got any socks on. Lost the feeling in my feet for a long time. Dave's got the right ideas. He's got the right ideas. So, yeah, I'm a little bit chilly con carne just now. Dave's just kind of just giving them a little bit of a synopsis about where he's coming from with the whole speech that he just gave everyone. And I think it's really nice that they're taking the time to also film that as well. Filming him.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
Love it. Are you Dave's niece? Yeah. Oh my god, I'm Roxanne. So nice to meet you, sweetheart. Oh.
It's just interesting, you know, it's something new, so that's nice. Always open to new things.
Are you okay for you to be on the stream? Are you okay with that?
Yeah. I've been on.
I love it. I love it. We're just talking to Dave's gorgeous niece just now. She's just watching her uncle in action. She just stood here watching them film her uncle.
Yeah, from,
How do you think it's gone so far?
good.
Yeah? He's a great public speaker, isn't he? He absolutely captivates me. I don't want to do anything else when he's talking. I'm just like, me too. There's a lot of people in the chat room.
Passion, you know.
That's right.
I think that's
That's
huge
right.
thing, you know.
That's right, and it resonates. It comes through. It's
exactly.
clearly obvious that he's passionate. If in fact it's one of the more authentic speeches I'm hearing. Everything else just seems like a regurgitation of what's already been said. That was profound. Yeah, profound, utterly profound. There's no point in me walking off because Dave's stream wants to look at Dave, so I'm staying fixed and firm right here. Look at it. Try and go in here. I've got him in the shot, not you guys.
That's all right. We're used to it now,
Oh,
you know. All right. Thanks
all right,
very
guys.
much.
I'll speak to you in a few days, okay, darlings? The 3rd.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks again, Richard.
All right, my darling.
Thank you.
There we go.
We still-
I got that. Yeah. You've got loads of people watching. Listen,
Hey.
I think everyone gave you a standing ovation for that speech. Well done.
Thank you. Awesome.
So proud of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Roxanne. Well, it's we're gonna build on this, huh? Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't bring a banner to put behind me while I was talking, you know, because I'm realizing that. Yeah, that's what we need. Because I'm realizing that the way to attract people is to talk about things other than flat Earth, and then bring the flat Earth truth in, you know. Yeah. Get people on side, because I found in Oxford when I swung into talking about the state at play, the way the world is and stuff like that, people really started to kind of chew into that and have some of that, and they can relate to that. People can relate to the idea that we've been screwed over, that things are costing too much, that people are not getting weller, they're getting sicker, mental health, all these sorts of things. Should we stroll as we talk? And I think that someone suggested the Town Crier title, and I think there's going to be many Town Criers. And the only way to reach all the brothers, you know, is to kind of come at. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate it. The only way we're going to come at this is to find a way to reach all brothers, and I've got to stay away from calling out things too strongly, because you don't want to upset people, getting them walking away. But this is us learning about how to hone, hey Sean, hone what we do, hone the kind of message, and I don't know, just continue to inspire ourselves to raise the tempo, raise the sort of progress of this awesome truth. So yeah, I mean, I think what I might actually do, I've probably offered this before, so at the risk of repeating myself, I think eventually I'm going to write something down and just kind of try and create a formulated kind of spell, even though I might kind of stray off it and get all creative and stuff like that, to have some kind of format just means that I can, I don't know, maybe not, I'll see, as long as I get to hit 5 or 6 key points and bring people on a journey from who's this nutcase to, oh, that's worth listening to, and all right, he sounds sensible, and now he's talking about water being level. That sounds sensible too. So, hey, Tate.
I might go get a coffee or something.
That sounds like an awesome idea.
Do you want one?
It's just over there, right? The coffee shops and stuff. No, I don't need a coffee. I might have a sip of yours, but I'm good, man. Thanks, honey. I don't know that I need to stream for too much longer. I do genuinely, I mean, I'm so moved by the things that people are saying to me. I'm I guess humbled is a word I could use, but touched and grateful, and a lot of fools for the nice words and the kind of, and the, yeah, just the positivity that people are throwing around and sharing around, because it's been quite a journey, just like for you, it's been a journey to get to this point in time, and I'm only at this point in time because of the things that have gone on before, and this is going to be an interesting, this already is the most incredible experience. I'm deeply honored to be here. I invite fellow brothers and sisters who are awake, are hearing this, who have the ears here and the eyes to see, to join the movement of people seeking to push for the truth's final envelope, or the truth final veil, as that hoaxer who didn't go to the moon said. Was it Neil Armstrong said? There's truth's final veil needs to be punctured, and I think we're working on that. We're going towards that. And if you already know the Earth is flat and you're comfortable with that, you know that this, beyond that, there is truth possibly within the grasp of each of us in our lifetimes, and to make us all friends, loving one another once more, true humankind. So, one of the things that I don't know about is a lot of Muslims feel like they are blamed for 9/11. So when I tell them that I think 9/11 was not the Muslims, that generally gets a nod. A lot of them know that, not all know that, but a lot do. And like when they realize that, hey, we're on a team, or when I say team, we're all in the same team, and it's not like I think I need to be fearful of you because you're trying to blow me up. And then we start to get somewhere. There's a troll and a runner.
You need a change in direction. You need to get off that motorway.
Thou shalt not kill, commit adultery, steal. See, this is bear false witness against my neighbor. Maybe my neighbor should read that. Don't covet thy neighbor's house. Yeah, I agree that. Don't covet thy neighbor's ass. Yeah, that's a gay thing, isn't it? I don't know about that. Don't make a graven image, but they like the cross. I know. I'm not bashing you because you are Christian. I used to be a Christian. Right? But I realized, especially when I came down here earlier this year, I was like, shit, if I feel the need to hang on to that title, then I can't ask one of these guys to let go of the title that they've been inculcated with, you know? So, I'm looking to grow the message, and, you know, we are part of something that we've all started as a couple of important people, and Harry's name pops right into my head, you know, amongst others who have, you know, created the energy to put us in this position now, to get us into this situation now. Oh, that looks like Tara there. And Harry, just by the way. Hey. Ah. Yeah. Astronauts have never done a 360 in outer space. All spacewalks are done in a desalinated swimming pool. I think in Texas or somewhere, or something like that. I can't remember now where they're. Houston, is it Houston? And as I keep saying to people, remember there's no suit has ever been proven with a human in a vacuum chamber. We can't take one of these suits into a vacuum chamber. They're only good for underwater dives. Now, I just share with you that when I did that little piece earlier on, it went really well. There were one or two moments that I thought, I haven't quite got the next word, but I did sweat again. It's such a passionate delivery, and despite the cold and whatnot, I generated a sweat. My clothes underneath my shirt are a little bit damp as a consequence of that sweat. So that's how much passion I was throwing out there. Do I look like this guy? Do I look like this guy? I love it, man. I've sometimes thought about getting myself a little chair, a little something to rise me up, because it does help to have a little bit of a height over the other people you're talking to, especially if you're getting trolled. Because the barrackers and the harrickers can get right in your face when you're at their height, and most of them are taller than me. I'm just approaching the 6 foot mark myself, so there's a number of them that are a little taller than I am. Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, that guy was a cop, or whatever. When I say cop, I don't know, that's maybe not an accurate description, but that guy was definitely, he caught me first as I came in here this afternoon. He stuck himself to me, and he tried to shut my conversation out. I didn't have a lot. I didn't give him much time, and I gave him fairly short shrift. If you didn't catch the beginning of this, you could always go back and have a look at that. But I sniffed him out pretty quickly, actually, and I'm chuffed about that, because I'm getting a little bit better at catching out the time wasters. Believe it or not, people are genuinely here to waste my time. Genuinely here to waste my time. And there are people, even that are watching this, that are just genuinely hoping that they can say something shitty, or find something that I say and go, oh, look what he said, or look what this, or look what that. You know why? Because we come from a world of dualism, positive and negative, and I would suggest to you that negative energies are they have been in the ascendant, they have been more powerful, and as a consequence, hello, they have been more powerful. Here's someone who wants to chat. Hello. Hi. How can I help you?
Just listening, you were making sense.
Oh, okay, cool. What's your name?
Ken, what's your
Yeah, I'm Dave. Yeah. Have you looked? My main topic is the flat Earth theory. Have you looked at that?
Yeah.
And did you find anything interesting, Ken?
No.
Okay.
It's a bit difficult when you've flown all the way around to see that it's round, to see that it's flat.
But would you admit that if I was to say fly my aeroplane around London? Yeah. If I was.
Yes.
If I was to take do you know there's a highway or motorway around London called the M25? It's like a ring that runs around London, yeah? Yeah, and if I had to follow that ring on my aeroplane, would I be able to circumnavigate all the 33 boroughs of London? If you're struggling with this, then maybe I'm not talking to the right person.
No, horizontally, I understand.
Okay, so horizontally, I live on a horizontal world. When we look out at the sea, we say that's the horizon. It takes its word from the word horizontal. Correct. It's Ken, is it? Correct. So Ken, every body of water, it turns out, I established this a few years ago, every body of water is horizontal with every other body of water when it's left at rest. So the lake that's at 1,000 feet high up in the mountain can be perfectly measured as level to the body of water a few hundred feet below it, and the next lake below that, and then the river, then the ocean below that. So sea level and ocean level in my regular world is flat water. Flat water.
Are they totally flat, or are they, because they're around a round nucleus, is the curve so small that we can't see it and it appears flat? If you've done this research, you will have known that if you've really done this honestly research, Ken, you would know that our scientists tell us that a guy called Pythagoras, if he really existed, came up with a mathematical formula to express the curvature one should experience on a ball 24,900 miles in circumference, which is apparently, allegedly, the ball. Even though there's not one single globe that perfectly represents that, I'll accept that it's 24,900 miles in theory. That means that Pythagoras says that 8 inches in the mile squared should be the amount of curvature we encounter. Right? That means that over 10 miles we should have 800 inches of curvature, and over the distance of the English Channel we should have some 300 feet of curvature, meaning that you should not be able to see the White Cliffs of Dover from France on a clear day, when we know that we absolutely can. Not only can we see them, we can see all the way down to the beach if the wavelets aren't too high. So I suggest to you, my friend, that it's impossible for water ever to bend. Yeah. So you don't trust the science you're given either. That's fair enough. I don't. Yeah. Good man. Good man. Yeah, but all the models, if you don't like the model that someone creates your own, because no one is smart enough to be right all the time.
Okay. Do you know what the word model, like the root of the word model, is? To kind of create a small version of something large. Yeah. Okay. So if I was to challenge you to make a model of your ball Earth, and you were to challenge me to make a model of my flat Earth, who do you think would come home first with the prize?
Neither one of us.
Why? You don't know my model then, because my model would be done in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. I'd get 5 or 6 really large boulders, and I'd create my continents, and I'd put a significant-sized magnet in the middle. My compasses would all therefore attract themselves. I'm not saying it works like this, but just as a model, they would attract themselves, and my ships would happily sail around those rocks all day long, following an east-west trajectory. Your ball model, however, has never been modeled. Now, around our world, across this plain, in fact, I drove past one yesterday on my way from Swindon, there is what they call a mini town or a miniature town. I can assure you that the harbours and the lakes and the coastlines are all done in a pool with a flat body of water. The Suez Canal is 100 miles long, Ken, and has not got any curve in it from one side to the other. No. But I trust that the engineers, when they say that they don't need any locks to prevent one ocean flooding into the other, I trust that that's why it's because it's level. See, if it wasn't level, we know that, like we do in the UK with the lock systems, we have to, the canal system, we have to put locks in when we go uphill and locks when we come downhill. Where the water's super level, like on the Bedford Flats, they don't need any locks. So in the 1800s, a few scientists got together, and Robotham, I believe, and they did an experiment called the Bedford Levels experiment, peer-reviewed, where they could go over 10 miles with a man in a skiff and a flag, and they could watch his flag go away for 10 miles. In 10 miles, as I said earlier on, is 800 inches of curvature. All of him, his boat, and his flag should have been below the body of the water, if it were true that water were curving at any point. So I ask you, if I can model 10 miles and then 100 miles of the Suez Canal, that's a pretty damn large model, my friend. What's the size of the model that you can offer me to counter that?
Why don't we go bigger?
Well, you see, because bigger is something that you and I cannot test for ourselves. I prefer science that is measurable and testable, Ken. But if I have to rely on Neil deGrasse Tyson to tell me what my world is beyond what I can see, then I'm afraid I'm no longer going to believe in the virgin birth, and I'm no longer going to believe in things like gravity when they can't be proven. No, don't believe in anything. But I know for a fact, because I can measure it, and we have done, that water is level. And I know for a fact, because I've measured it, that I can see England from France, and I can see Morocco from Africa, from Spain, apologies. And I've seen, the world record photo apparently is 400 kilometers in distance over flat water, from one beach to another beach at 400 kilometers. So once I've got to that level, and I've still got no curve, I should have already had 3 miles of curve by that point. So there's really no curve, and the common sense says water's level. So
only there.
that I know.
That's their only the calculation that you were given. But
Okay.
you're also assuming that the model is only an electromagnetic field. Well, where's the both sides? Where are the other fields that are all affecting the creation of the Earth and other parts of Earth where you're an energy?
Okay, well, let me tell you what I think, because I don't obviously know like what's below my feet. We only drilled 8 miles down. I don't know what's above me, because the highest we've taken balloons, regular people, not NASA, have taken regular balloons to 20 miles with cameras on them, and we can see what we can see, which looks level and flat as far as I can tell. But I know that there's vast reaches that I don't know anything about. So I'm trying not to have any belief in whether there's a ringer on the outside, or whether there's infinite plane, or how the dynamics of it work. We can have intellectual discussion, but only once you've gotten off the magical Disneyland spinning ball model, because the idea that rocks and things can float in space and time once they get big enough is something that was invented by science fiction writers in the 1930s, and then now we have to rely on Freemasonry or Freemasonic agents of NASA, who came out of Nazism and so on. It's all a very corrupt system, Ken, and until you looked into how corrupt it is, you're not willing to unpick the fact that our entire establishment, the entire edifice that sits above us, from education to government and so on, is sort of run by a single entity, a single powerful entity that has, in my case, in my view, robbed us of a bunch of truths. But something that I know I can test, and this is why I'm comfortable talking about flat Earth, is that I can say that the Earth, as far as I can tell, is not moving in my senses. Then the science that proved that Earth has no actual spin and rotation, which was the Michelson-Morley experiments using the interferometer, those have been abandoned and misrepresented. That's one thing. And the other thing, my battery's nearly flat. And the other thing is that as I say, water is called water level, and we build from the level of water, and we can say the Suez Canal is level, and that makes absolute sense to me. And so if you can't measure it, you shouldn't believe in it. That's what I'm saying. And you can't measure curvature, so don't believe in it. Okay. But let me tell you that curvature should be measured. If curvature is real, it should be measurable. Yeah.
That's one of the flaws of science. If you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. There are many things that don't.
No, I know that, but the thing is that, see, I didn't mind the Neil deGrasse Tyson hypothetical kind of thinking. I didn't mind that. I enjoyed the stimulating debate. In fact, I was one who wanted there to be life on Mars. I used to hope they were finding life on Mars. Genuinely, I did. But now I realize that's all sort of hypothesis. The same as all these religious folks over here. They're hypothesizing about whether the Shroud of Turin really has Jesus' blood on it. They hypothesize whether a virgin birth is possible by wind pollination. I don't know. But I say that in science, in my reality, these things don't happen. My reality is that a girl has to have impregnation to fall pregnant, right? By a man. Yeah, that's the normal way of things. And then I know that every swimming pool I've ever been in, every bath, every whatever lake, the water when still is like a mirror. It's like a mirror level and flat. And so I say that if the channel is flat and the sea level is flat and it's level from one beach to the other, and the Suez Canal, then put 10 Suez Canal, 15 Suez Canal, and you're over in America. And that's all flat water. So that's not a huge leap of the common sense to say, yes, I've not even modeled it, I've actually given you 100 miles of flat water. So, but there should be, what I'm saying, 10 miles or something? No, not something.
I agree that your world and your model is all that matters with yours, and mine is all that matters with me.
Do you agree? You're not agreeing with me. That's your idea. I didn't say that at all. Because for me, my friend Ken, is that there is only one real truth. This idea that these guys are all sitting on their own truth, like their Islam is the truth, or their Christianity or whatever is the truth, or Judaism is the truth. No, that's not true. No, you and I would agree they can't all be true. Well, my truth is that water is level. And my truth is that I don't sense myself moving And then I have the advantage of having like a near-death experience. I call it a near-death experience. But I had my pineal gland open 3 years ago, and I saw beyond. I went from an atheist to a believer in some higher creation in 5 minutes. My dying mother could not get me to take a creation story on board. And I was proper into the whole evolution thing. I was proper into the Big Bang. Even though it was given to me by the Catholic Church, I was proper into all of that, right? So I've come from all of that stuff. I've had all of those kind of views. And then when I found out actually you can't measure the curvature of this ball Earth, that's when it started to fall apart from me. But it started before that, when I realized that the 9/11 terror attacks in New York were not done by 19 Muslims and Osama bin Laden. They were not done by them. They were merely, those 19 Muslims and Osama bin Laden were the patsies designed to create fear in the European mindset and to create an enemy or a fear of being the enemy in the Islamic mindset, yeah? And I see that writ large today, that I see people constantly being maligned because they belong to one group or another. And like I was a white South African, even though I was born in the UK, I was a white South African boy, and therefore I was a racist. Even though I was only too small, I never voted for the apartheid government, I was too small. And even if I had, it was like I was in the system of indoctrination and propaganda that had me, one, believing or possibly thinking that this was a reasonable way of doing business, and two, that everybody else could say, you're one of them, you're one of that group. And that's all we see today, is a continuation of you're in that group, you're to be feared, you're bad, you're this and you're that. When in fact, actually, Ken, I find just love. Mostly the people that I encounter in my human experience just want families, they want connection, they want togetherness, they want all of these sorts of things, but then they turn on the TV. They get the Al Jazeera, they get the BBC, they get the France 24 or whatever, CNN, whatever propagandist their favorite propagandist is, and then they go and realize a version of the world that is so untrue. But they'll come out and argue for that version. I mean, the people who love Donald Trump, for example, they'll come and argue for that clown. You know, people who love Theresa May, or I used to, be quite into politics, I've voted, I've worked at elections, I used to think it was a real thing, So now, of course, I know it's all a construct designed to keep us at loggerheads with each other. And now people will continue. You see, while you buy into the Darwinian, we're on a spinning ball in the middle of dark, scary space, asteroids are coming to wipe us out like the dinosaurs 65 billion years ago and all that crap, right? Well, once you think that, then you're willing to be like a dog-eat-dog, climb over each other. Yes, we need rules because all humans are simply slightly evolved cavemen or slightly evolved apes or whatever you think, rather than actually if you allowed and cherished each new light that came into this world and encouraged it to grow properly, it wouldn't turn into a thug. It wouldn't turn into, if you starve a dog, it's going to bite you. When if you give enough, you got 10 dogs in a room and you give enough dog food for one dog, eventually dogs are going to start eating each other. That's the way it goes, right? And that's what's happened here, is that humanity is eating itself because we've been divided by some entity that doesn't want to feed us all equally. I'd love to know why.
How it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just 10 years of my personal research.
Yeah.
Is that of the experience you're having, only 4% is generated by your logical educated mind.
Yeah.
95% is generated by your limbic system, your emotional brain. Okay. And the other 1% is brain stem and your fascia, your cellular memory. All right. And so I've started, they've mapped the genome.
Oh, hold on, wait. Before you take, I've got how many people watching right now? A lot of people, 66 people watching right now. What they don't need to hear is someone who still believes in atoms, atom bombs, and molecular science or particle science in the way that we've been taught. So long as you're not going to try and tell me that this stuff is real, then we've still got something to talk about.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So what I am talking about is that I've been trying to map the epigenome. What are the concepts that create your reality?
Okay.
All right. And what part of my research is in testing thousands of people, educated, tribal, from all over the planet, is that everyone is programmed that they can in each situation they can see 51% of the truth, and 49% they create a story that doesn't exist. So that's why hindsight's better than foresight, because that story's
Okay.
And because all of us have that programming, it's very easy for this manipulation of us through media and fear.
Yes.
So that's what I've been working on, is how do we resolve that, so that you can see the truth 100%. at least your truth, or whatever you're focusing on, and not distort it so that you can be manipulated.
I like that. Ken, are you you're a scholar or an educator or something? Is that or just a personal research? Is this personal research?
Yes, I've kind of gone. I went through the academia.
You have.
I did 6 years of lectures at Oxford, and then I decided, well, that's not manipulated.
No.
Everything's manipulated.
No.
So I just wanted to figure out my model. How does it work? And I've been running my own experiments and have found a way to. What I was looking for was, how is it possible to change that programming that you have to deceive yourself? Another program that you have to have is you have to give more than you receive.
Yeah.
And then you have to have an addiction.
Okay.
Well, some addictions are acceptable, like being a workaholic or perfectionism.
Yes.
But alcoholism and drug abuse are not.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Can we take away, can we shift that program that everyone's carrying that they have to have an addiction? So 10 years in, I found a way that we can do it. All the therapies that are out there trying to help people be all of who they are, they can create a shift, but the shift is only locks at 95%. So it dissolves over time.
What was if I was to offer you that this is fantastic research and I admire that, but I think that when I grew up and learned about how bad the Nazis were and how bad cleverly they used psychology as a means of manipulating the minds of the people and the masses and so on. Well, that same intelligence, that same approach was absorbed already in use by the British establishment and the American establishment and any other that is in the franchise of government. Yeah. So those very clever psychological ploys have been used so well that in fact we are, and I know this, like putty, and we have been molded to see a version of reality that is much closer to Disneyland than the reality that it used to be. I used to live in Disneyland, and I now stand on the outside of the fun fair and I watch everybody whizzing by on their rides and fighting and queuing up for their rides and all this sort of stuff, and I go, come on over, you don't have to be in that situation. You might visit for a day, but you don't have to be like that. And so I'm just trying to kind of encourage people to think completely differently, divorce themselves from the systems of control, because we are definitely being mind controlled. I acknowledge absolutely that my mind has always been controlled. Is my mind still controlled? Perhaps to an extent it still is, but I have tried very much as I can to divorce myself from the information that's coming in from the system, the stimuli that's coming in from the system, and trying to go back to nature, spend more time with nature, more sun gazing, more barefoot time, more natural living and all of that sort of thing, so that I can start to hear my own inner voice again and stop listening to the books and the edicts of men that have come before me, men who I believe now are designed to something to control us. Yes, they do. In fact, the most well-educated, the Eton boys and so on, are some of the most indoctrinated and deceived minds on the entire plane of existence, as far as I'm concerned.
So that's been my goal, is can we efficiently and effectively
Cheers, bro. Yeah. I don't know the full truth, and I've really enjoyed this conversation, but I don't know the full truth. I know that I'm playing. I say to people like this, I know that I'm playing on a level playing field now and not on a ball. So what I've done, if I lose the chess analogy, is I've thrown all the pieces off the board now that I know it's flat, and I'm reevaluating every piece one by one, and I'm using great minds. I'm sharing, I'm getting from great minds who are like yourself, doing research outside of the school, outside of the system, outside of the paradigm, because consensus science, consensus psychology and so on is not necessarily the best psychology. But consensus history is definitely not the true history. That's the history that's written by the Royal Society for History Management. So I love that I've met you. I got a YouTube channel called Trinity 4. If I ever can talk to you again, I would really love to do that. Because you sound like an interesting man. But I'll be honest with you, for me, most people, if they have fantastic minds and fantastic knowledge, they have to recast their knowledge on a flat surface before they're ever going to truly know their subject matter. And I can promise you, I may not be a subject matter expert, but there are subject matter experts who will say to you that until I got to that, and I'd had a year or two to sort of reevaluate my world based on a flat model, I didn't truly understand much subject or humankind well enough. And that's what I'll sort of close on this point.
I just would say, I threw the flat model out. I threw all the models.
Okay. All right. Well, I accept that the azimuthal equidistant flat Earth model is not a model that I get into bed with. No, I accept that. I don't know how the sun and the moon work, but I do think that they're very small and local. And I do think it's an electrical toroidal electromagnetic system that we live in. That's what I kind of sense. And
It's a multi-toroidal system.
yes.
That it's really
Yes, and we are individual, toroids ourselves within the macrocosm.
correct.
This has been stimulating. Did you want to say something else before I...
No, you can close off.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you. Guys, I'm going to say good night and thank you so much for watching. This has been a wonderful live stream here at... thank you very much, Sean, for coming down. And a wonderful stream from Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner. Thank you once again for your love and your participation and your contribution. Zane, she's still there, bro. Thanks. There's a number of you. My eyesight right now is shattered. I'm shattered. I'm looking forward to getting something warm to drink.